Hi, this is Mr. Frazier, and we are going over lesson 5.5, indirect proofs and identifying contradictions. Okay, this one's relatively easy, quick, short, sweet, to the point. It's not a hard section. It's mostly verbiage and vocab. Okay, so we start with what is indirect reasoning? Indirect reasoning is all the possibilities are considered, and then all but one are proven false, and the remaining possibility must be true. Okay, now I'm going to give you a Star Trek reference. Dr. Spock, as well as Sherlock Holmes, used to say, uh, if you can prove everything else to be false, then whatever remaining seems improbable must be true. Okay, so no matter how unlikely it may be, if you can prove everything else not to be true, then you're proving something else to be true. All right. Now, do we have to go through the same proofs that we did before? Some of you are getting nervous. No. What we learn with indirect proofs is understanding what an indirect proof is and understanding what indirect reasoning is. And then what is the first step of an indirect proof? I'm not going to ask you to go through all the steps of an indirect proof. It's just making sure you understand what an indirect proof is. Okay? So the first step of an indirect proof is to negate your original statement, meaning I'm looking for a reason and I negate that reason. All right, so what does it mean to negate something? Correct. Negating means you use the word no, not, won't, can't. Those are negations. If it starts with the word not, then it's removing the word no, not, can't. All right, so let's say we said something like, you have practice today. So my first step would to say, you do not have practice today. Okay? You do not have practice today would be the first step of my indirect proof. So here was what they told us. My first step is to say, I do not have practice today. So I prove this incorrect, false, and that way I'm proving this true. All right? It seems a little backwards, but it's just understanding what negation is and how you do the first step of an indirect proof. So let's look at another one. If I said you did not purchase that food, using indirect reasoning, the first step of an indirect proof would say, you did purchase the food. And in my following statements, I would prove this thing wrong. Once I've proved this wrong, I've then indirectly proven that that is correct. If I prove this false, that means the first statement was true. Okay? Now, do you have to go through the whole proof? No. It's just understanding what indirect reasoning is and how to write an indirect reasoning problem. The first step. I'm not asking you to write the entire proof. Don't have to. I just need you to be able to understand how to write the first step. All right. The second thing is identifying contradictions. Now this is my favorite, only because every teenager in Countryside High School is nothing but a walking contradiction, okay? They will do things, identifying contradictions would be like this. Okay, Mr. Frazier, I'm going to class, as both their feet are still standing there, not moving. And then when you ask them, are you going to go? And they go, yes, I'm going, but yet they're not moving. That's a contradiction. If I said, boy, I'm really thirsty, and you have a drink in your hand, that's a contradiction. You have a drink in your hand. Why would you be thirsty? Just drink it. So contradictions are things that cannot happen simultaneously. You can't say you're hungry and say you're full at the same time. Man, I ate Thanksgiving dinner and I am stuffed. I am so hungry. Those things are contradictions. They don't make sense. You can't do both of them at the same time. Can't be fat and skinny. In English, you call those oxymorons, like jumbo shrimp. Okay, so being able to look at and identify contradictions is important. So I'm going to give you 3 contradictions, or 3 things, 3 statements, and you tell me which ones are the contradiction. Okay, I'm going to tell you that FG is parallel to KL. That's statement 1. Statement 2, FG is congruent to KL. The last one is FG is perpendicular to KL. Can you tell me which of the 2 of these are contradicting each other, meaning they can't both happen? So we look at it and we go, well, parallel means 2 lines that do not touch. And congruent means 2 lines that are the same size, same shape. Okay, that's possible. So those aren't contradictions. So let's 2 lines that are same size, same shape. And perpendicular means 2 lines that touch at a 90-degree angle or a right angle. Well, those 2 could exist. Okay, you have done it. You've identified it. You can't be parallel, which means not touching, and be touching. These are your contradictions. Okay, so I'm going to give you one more sample problem, and hopefully you write this down and do it yourself. We have triangle XYZ for all of these. Okay, triangle XYZ is acute. Triangle XYZ is scalene. Triangle XYZ is equilateral. Which of those 2 are contradictions? Okay, make sure you write down your answer. We'll check it tomorrow in class, as well as you starting on tomorrow's assignment when you come in. And like I said, this is a relatively short section, and then we'll be working on 5-6, and you'll watch 5-6 tomorrow or over the weekend. 5-6 has 2 parts to it, so it's a little bit longer.